Welcome. We are so excited to have you in the fight to defeat Trump and build our movements. Seed the Vote started when a group of movement organizers came together to discuss the urgent threat of another 4 years of Trump and how that would impact our community. And we needed to build a plan for how we could make a real impact on the presidential election, even if we don't live in a swing state. We're organizers who know that the work continues after the election, so we want to defeat Trump while building the power of our communities long term. We're focusing our efforts on supporting grassroots groups in battleground states to defeat Trumpism and build power in their communities every day. The stakes are even higher now than we ever could have imagined. COVID-19 is an unprecedented public health crisis, and a global uprising to defend Black lives has created a sea change in public opinion on systemic racism while activating masses of people across the country. The crisis and the movement are colliding to expose the deep injustice in our country and the life-threatening danger of the Trump administration and white supremacy. We must defeat Trump to stem the tide of a right-wing agenda that keeps our communities on the defense. While Biden does not represent our greatest hopes for our country, electing him will make a huge difference in what we're fighting for and against. This election is larger than one candidate. It's about creating the conditions where we can fight for racial justice, economic security, LGBT and women's rights, environmental protections, and so much more. We need to organize like hell to get Trump out of office and sow the seeds of a better future for all of us.
To help swing this next election for justice, we're partnering with groups in battleground states who are focused on what Ibram X. Kendi calls the other swing voter. Our partner organizations are building electoral power, working class communities, communities of color, and young people who are often ignored by political campaigns but have the potential to determine the outcome of this election if given the chance. A huge part of our strategy to win in 2020 needs to be expanding who votes, because there were 108 million people who didn't vote in 2016. And that's not by accident. There are rules and practices in place to prevent millions of potential voters, Black, Latinx, immigrant, working class, and young voters, from registering or voting. The organizations we're working with are deeply rooted and know how to inspire more people to vote and defend access to voting. They're working on key local and state races as well as the presidential election, and are continue building power long after the election is over. States like Arizona, that were once the epicenter of right-wing anti-immigrant organizing, are leading the way in fighting back. In Arizona, we're partnering with Lucha, a group that grew out of the fight against racist laws like SB 1070 and Sheriff Arpaio. Lucha has been an important part of the organizing across Arizona that's increased Latinx voter turnout from 32% in 2014 to a whopping 49% in 2018, and built the political power to unseat Sheriff Arpaio, raise the state minimum wage, and provide paid sick days to all workers, among many other victories. They have a clear plan to ensure Trump loses in Arizona, and we're ready to help that happen. In Pennsylvania, a state that Trump won in 2016 by only 44,000 voters, we're working with PA Stands Up, a coalition of groups throughout the state who are committed to fighting for racial and economic justice on the state level and making sure that Trump doesn't win there again. This June, PA Stands Up helped a slate of progressive Democrats win in the primaries, part of their plan to win the State House for the people in November. In Florida, we're partnering with New Florida Majority, Dream Defenders, and Florida for All, who are building electoral power with Black and brown communities that have been marginalized by our political systems. Florida's Governor DeSantis is one of Trump's closest allies, who is endangering millions of lives through his negligence through this pandemic. Together, these organizations have a plan for taking power back on the state and federal level.
A new generation of voters are rising up, and we are a part of that. Many of us involved in Seed the Vote are used to focusing on local organizing efforts or strategies outside of electoral politics. But we are coming together now to join this fight because Trump is an urgent threat to our communities and the planet that we cannot afford to ignore. Because of COVID-19, the vast majority of voter outreach will happen through phone calls and texting. By November 3rd, we plan to mobilize over 3,000 volunteers, activists, and organizers to have conversations with over 1 million eligible voters. To make this happen, we need you, me, and all of us to make a serious commitment of time to ensure we defeat Trump, and to ask our friends to join us in this fight for our futures. Can you commit to phone banking every week with us? Or form a pod, a group of family and friends who participate in this project together. We also have opportunities to help fundraise or join one of our volunteer committees that help make this project possible. And we have a program specifically for young people of color to get involved in the election and grow their leadership called Generation Rising. There are volunteer, internship, and fellowship opportunities. Thanks for joining us so that together we can defeat Trump and make our movements more powerful for the fights ahead.
Hey, my name is Jason Negro Gonzalez. I'm an emergency nurse at SF General Hospital and union activist in San Francisco. I'm standing with Seed the Vote because we need to stop this pandemic, and we can't do that with Trump in office. He's racist, he's incompetent, He's spreading disease and he's got to go. Will you stand with us in November? Hola a ustedes, me llamo Jason Negrón González, soy enfermero en el Hospital General de San Francisco y estoy aquí con Sembrando el Voto porque queremos acabar con la presidencia de Trump, porque es racista, porque está provocando un empeoramiento de la pandemia y porque queremos justicia para nuestras comunidades. Entonces, ¿van a estar conmigo en noviembre?
Hi, my name is Emily, and I am an organizer in San Francisco working to build the power of working class communities of color. I'm committed to defeating Trump because if we don't, the stakes are too high and the next generation is going to be fighting defense fights for the next 10 years. Will you join us to defeat Trump?
Hola, mi nombre es Alex. Soy una mujer, estudiante de color y hija de emigrantes. Un voto por Trump es un voto en contra de mi comunidad. Te unamos con nosotros en esta pelea. Hi, my name is Alex. I am a woman, student of color, and daughter of immigrants. A vote for Trump is a vote against my community. Will you join us in this fight?